Right, we're so excited and honoured today to welcome the amazing Rosie Tabman onto the pod. Rosie is basically the fairy godmother of female health. And she's a nutritional therapist, a gut guru, and a female hormone whisperer.
She also supports women with fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, and of course, menopause. I pretty much check all those boxes bar menopause, I think. I think you'll agree we all need her in our lives. Rosie, welcome to Motherloading.
Welcome.
You know, you're like, oh my God, who's that?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. You're very, very welcome on the pod. We are very excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Tell us, I mean, we did an intro, but tell us a bit about yourself. Wrap it all up. You've got 30 seconds. Go.
Oh God, where do you start?
Exactly.
Well, like you said, nutritional therapist. So kind of did the cliche, like worked for a corporate, hated my life. You know, was on this like corporate grad scheme to become the CEO of a company, you know, and you're like, I don't want to be a CEO. But at the same time, you're being told like, you're so lucky, you're so fortunate.
Yeah.
So yeah, went to see a talk around someone who was a naturopathic nutritional therapist, which is the style of nutrition I do. So it's like root cause nutritional therapy. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. And so I handed in my notice like the next day.
Wow.
And signed up to retrain.
And was it general nutrition? What was it that made you kind of, because you're very much female specialised. What made you want to do that? Or was that a certain pivot point of your
I think
career?
I love women. But I feel like
you too.
I know. Like, I fancy women more than men, I think. I think I do, you know.
You know, like kind of that, like, you know, when women say to me, they're like, oh, I just really struggle with female relationships, you know, and I'm like, I can't resonate with that.
Yeah.
Like,
You're a girl's girl.
I'm and not that, like, I hate men at all.
No.
You know, like, I've got amazing men in my life.
Yeah.
But I just feel like some of those platonic female relationships I've had and got are like some of the most transformative, nourishing relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And I've just always loved women. Like in a, like, you know, even going back to school, like, you know, going back to primary school, going back to secondary school, like some of my best friends now are still my friends
From school.
Same.
Like, and you know, when you're like, if I met you now, I'd want to be friends with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and you're like, but I think that's so special.
And we've said
And
that
that's
in a
so
few
rare.
of our other episodes that it's just like an unsaid gravitational pull between women, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't have to say much to know that you're part of my tribe type thing. It's just like an unsaid, unspoken connection, I guess.
Yeah. And I see it as a connection. I think like some people, like, they see it almost as that rivalry. Whereas like I don't feel and have never felt that, you know.
And if there is that person who feels a rivalry, they're not worth being in your life. They're that kind of toxic individual.
Yeah,
and I think all of us have, as you said there, that tribe that lifts us up, that supports us. And in good times and in bad times, and in a lot of those good times and bad times is where a lot of your advice comes in that, I know when we were talking during the week, you talked about the kind of 4 arcs of a female life. And there's so much to what you do. And it's like, we were saying the other day, like, where do we start?
Yeah.
Talk us through that kind of vision you have.
Yeah. So the kind of 4 arcs, so these are the 4 like big transformational periods in a woman's life. So the first one is menarche. So when you start your period.
Right. Yeah.
Like a huge one, like how that transition unfolds is kind of exponentially transformative to the rest of like your formative years. But I remember being so excited to start my period, as an example, which I feel like must maybe be part of this kind of like why I love female health, you know. Like I remember, like, I'm a July baby,
Right.
so like I was the youngest in my year, like one of the last to summer, and all my friends like made fun of me because I used to have like a period drawer, and I was like, well, I've got everything you need, full flow, like at like the age 30. I was like, yeah, like
Will
a
I tell you
proper
something
drawer.
bonkers? Will I tell you about something bonkers?
Yeah.
I had sex before I had my period.
No, that is bonkers.
But not that I had sex when I was like 11.
Well, that,
I didn't get my period until I was 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it got to the point that my mum and we didn't have the conversation. I don't really know why. I think she was definitely at the point where she was like, "Is there something wrong?"
Yeah, because that is late.
Yeah, and I did kind of fib to people saying, "Yeah, I've got my period," because I was like, "What is wrong with me?" And I don't know. It was just late. I've never had any issues, and me having my period later in life, they never connected any of my fertility challenges back to that. But yeah, just
That was
fun
like
fact.
normal for you. Yeah, that is a fun fact. That is. Yeah.
They were like, don't you get pregnant. I'm like, well, I don't think there's much chance of that.
Not possible right now. So yeah, that's the first arc, is menarche,
Right.
whatever point that comes. Then if you go through this arc, like pregnancy, postpartum, that's another arc. And then especially actually postpartum, which I feel like we often kind of forget about that 4th trimester. We just think like, baby's arrived, woohoo. And I'm like, actually, like that is maybe more important than even pregnancy.
I do see that there's a lot. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go.
At the moment, whether it's just because my feed is all about babies at the moment, because it's all I seem to be looking at and sharing. But there is a lot more awareness, would you say, around that 4th trimester with a lot of, is it doulas?
Doulas,
Yeah, with doulas and looking after yourself nutritionally, the kind of food you need to be eating and the rest, the emphasis on rest and taking things slowly. You know, when I had Lenny, again though, Instagram wasn't so much a thing, but I don't remember there being a lot of talk or a lot of support or anything around it, and I feel like it's very much more celebrated now, and everyone's more on board with that being a very important part of recovery.
Good.
Yeah, and we've talked about on a previous episode, to your point about there needs to be that focus on postpartum. So first baby, I assumed I was going to feel worse than I did, and I felt great. My oxytocin levels were on another level. Baby number 2, I was very much up and down. But one thing that happened with both my kids that nobody at any point warned me about, a medical professional, nor even a friend or anything, was when I weaned off breastfeeding.
Oh
my.
Nobody.
So
I had a breakdown.
I literally thought I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
I was so emotional. I was really fluey for a long time, and it wasn't mastitis as such, but my mood was so low, and I was like, what on earth is going on? And I was a mad woman, like,
Putting me off it here, ladies.
no, sorry. No, it was
You
sorry.
just have to like breastfeed until you're 6. Like,
And like, listen, I love breastfeeding, but till 6 months, and then I was like, thank you. But I just wasn't expecting that. And I was like, why do more people not tell you about the hormone drop when you've stopped
There's
breastfeeding?
only you and one other lady who I used to train that actually spoke about that.
I had that as well with my second,
Did
but
you?
only with my second, because I stopped at 6 months with my second.
Right.
But with my first, she kind of gradually weaned at 9 months. You know, like literally looked to my boob like,
no thanks.
It's like when they're ready to be potty trained. You're taking the nappy off. No!
you're going to sit. Okay.
So like in that postpartum, what do you think are some of the most underrated nutrients that women are missing in their diet that are super important for that nourishment? Because like there's a lot to do, especially if you've got multiple kids. Trying to think about it all is hard.
So I would say, so you go from a like yang, like in Chinese medicine, pregnancy is yang, it's hot, you're building, like your blood building. You've got another human inside you right now.
Yeah.
Crazy,
It's
magical.
crazy, isn't it?
You know, and you're like, oh my God. You've got a fully formed human in your tummy.
It's wild to me.
Like that is, it's a miracle. It's amazing. And then when baby's earth side, you go from being really yang in Chinese medicine to yin. Like your body's all of a sudden gone very yang to very yin.
Right.
So like associated with yin is kind of like cold, slow. So what you need in food terms is heat and warmth.
Oh, how fantastic.
That's why I lived on tea and toast and really hot, buttery, melted.
Yeah.
Toast.
You need the warm, like the slow cooked, the stews,
Bone broth.
Right.
bone broth. Yeah, all of those kind of things. So like stock your freezer with like cottage pies and all of those sorts of things.
Okay.
The other thing is actually probably one of the most like controversial things I'll ever say is animal protein is actually really, really important for women, especially.
Okay.
So if you think like with blood loss, like you need to then build blood again.
Right.
So you've had baby, like there's been lots of, I'm not talking like you've hemorrhage level of blood loss, just a normal amount of blood loss.
Yeah.
The easiest way to build blood back in your body is hydration, especially if you're feeding, like that's key. But actually, like, blood nourishing foods are animal protein, and especially like your red
So like
meat.
meat.
Yeah.
Just red meat. Right, okay.
It's not controversial. We eat meat here.
I mean, I do say this in more controversial settings, like where I live, Chorlton, which is like Veganville. Like, so many people come to me, like women, almost like, tell me I need to not be vegan. You know, I'll pay you whatever. And actually, in a lot of traditional cultures, it's organ meat that is like the revered food. So like liver, like pate.
I can't eat liver though. I've
No,
got
I
a thing
hate
about
it.
it.
I hate it.
I don't think I've eaten it like as
like liver
as
and
an
onions
organ.
or something.
And what about like what? This is probably a really stupid question. Can you just take an iron tablet, or is
It's
that
not the
different?
same. Like, it's
Right,
not. You're
okay.
not, in terms of blood building. Yes,
Right,
iron is
okay.
really, really important. Like, that's central.
Yeah.
But it's not just iron that you need to build blood.
Right,
It's lots
right.
of other like vitamins and minerals
Okay.
that go into rebuilding that.
Right.
The like can be definitely be helpful. And if like you have hemorrhage or something like that, and there's been huge amounts of blood loss, then definitely you would need that as an addition.
Yeah.
But actually, like, iron by itself isn't very easily absorbed in the body.
Okay.
Like, food is so much better.
And then you're like,
Yeah.
we're looking at postpartum, and you're a mum, and you're either a mum of that teeny little squidge, and you're hibernating, and you're exhausted because you're feeding through the night and everything else. Then, like all of us, we have multiple kids, right? What are your like top tips for supporting the energy levels while juggling motherhood and everything
Because
else?
everyone tells you how important sleep is, and it's
Yeah.
like, tell me something I don't
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember doing
If
it as
only it
part
was
of
that
my,
easy.
Yeah, my PT course, and it was about training,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
mothers, and it was like, you know, make sure they get lots of rest, of course. And I was like, I've got a question, like how? Because of course we know sleep's really important, but when you're being woken every 45 minutes, you know, what would you advise? Is there any?
So I think one thing is acceptance, is like the season of life that you're in. You've just got to accept it.
Yeah, true.
Like, I need sleep. Like, you know, I've got friends who have had kids and they're like, not ideal being tired, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, I hate my life.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. So I feel like, from that perspective, I'm well versed on what you can do, which I think is one, you just got to surrender and accept. Is like, I would say would help me.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I just keep thinking, you're in a deep winter. It won't last forever.
Yeah.
Like,
Love that.
Yeah.
and it does get to the point where you're like tired of being tired, you know, and you're like, oh, but you can't see that spring coming.
Yeah.
Other things, like just practical things that can be useful, is like rest. Yes, it's not sleep, but it's better than nothing. So things like yoga nidras, like, you know, like the guided meditations when you're lying down.
Yeah.
And I've got like heated sauna mat. So, like, you know, when I was really tired, I'd just
divine.
you know, like cocoon.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a great idea.
And you know, say when they were little, whether it was during a nap. I mean, I was never on the like jobs need to be done. Like, I never felt bad for resting or sleeping.
Yeah.
When the kids were like,
And I think we need to keep that narrative up, because a lot of people are like, I've got to go. And I was guilty of that too. And actually listening to your body, listening to your mind, and sitting down and staying still is incredibly important.
100%.
Yeah. Because I was a bit like the first example you used, where I was just like, I can manage, but I could manage for a certain amount of time. And then all of a sudden I would just hit this wall and I would drop to this level of like exhaustion I'd never ever known in my life. Bone deep. And it was after the newborn stage. It's just, you know, running around with two kids. And I would just have to say to Mark, right, I have to tap out. And I would take that 3 or 4 hours or all day if I needed to and do what you talked about, like curl up in bed, watch some movies and not feel guilty about it. And then you just get that second wind and you go again. So I think it is important for women to put their hands up and say, right, I need some rest.
Yeah, taking intentional pauses and rests throughout the day before the choice gets taken from you. I always say this to ladies who say like they feel bad or whatever, and I'm just like, but you're going to end up on your knees anyway.
Yeah.
So just do it on your own terms before it's not a choice.
Yeah.
And like, before we move past having kids and postpartum and all the rest, we could probably have an entire episode regarding fertility journeys. And I think we talked about how every fertility journey is so different. So it's kind of hard to generalize. But when we spoke in our prep call, there was a couple of like key things that you talked about that we went, yeah, I had that. Oh my God, I didn't know that. Stepping back, when you're working with women around fertility, what are key things you see within your clinic?
So I would say number one is like they've probably not thought about how important sperm health is.
Yeah.
So
I hear this a lot.
Yeah, like, and I'm so glad that you're hearing it a lot, because it's always hard to know what's like the new narrative out there, because I'm conscious I'm in a fishbowl. So, you know, when people like say to me like, oh, what are you hearing? I'm like, well, I'm probably not the person to ask, because, you know.
There's a lot more emphasis on that.
Well, there should be,
awareness.
because like when Mark and I couldn't get pregnant, when Mark and I couldn't get pregnant, he'd had 2 kids from a previous marriage. So he was like, well, it's not me. So we assumed it was me. And it turned out that his sperm count and quality was really low. That in the 10, 15 years from having kids, it had just massively dropped. But what's interesting, and I'll let you explain like how you do that, was when we did some testing, it turned out that we had this, I always get it wrong, MTHFR gene.
Yeah.
And actually the work you can do around sperm quality is quite simple, and it can improve really quickly. And that's why, as you said, it's really important to look at sperm health as an issue. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So just to kind of like rewind. So sperm takes 3 to 4 months for completely new sperm to come through.
Okay.
So it can like change for the better or the worse in your example. Eggs, we're born with all of our eggs, but it takes 3 to 4 months for eggs to mature. So we're never getting new eggs, but that's how long is their like maturation point. So they're kind of the same. It's the same as kind of window of opportunity that you've got. And when you talked about MTHFR, so we all inherit genes from our mum and our dad.
Right.
And that kind of makes up our genetic code. One of those genes that we inherit from our mum and our dad is MTHFR gene.
Okay.
So half from my mum, half from my dad. And part of the process of what that gene does is it helps cell replication. It helps cells divide properly, which is so important in pregnancy, when like, if you think of an embryo and like how much cell division needs to happen, super, super, super important. But what can happen with that gene, and we call them SNPs, like SMP, as with lots of other genes, is they can become like mutated and not work properly. So that if you've got a SNP on either one of those genes from your mum or your dad, or you've got one from both, which is even more potentially of an issue, then you're going to struggle with that gene replication. One of the main things about having an MTHFR gene mutation is you can't turn folic acid into folate.
Okay.
So you like, as a pregnant woman or someone that's trying to conceive, we often hear about folic acid. But if you've got this gene mutation, you really struggle to turn folic acid into the usable form of folate. And then if you struggle to do that, then you're going to struggle with this cell replication and potentially lead to like recurrent miscarriage or struggling to get pregnant, those sorts of things.
Is that because it would in turn cause a chromosomal abnormality with the embryo?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because they're not dividing properly.
Yeah, okay.
So if you've got SNPs from both genes, from mum and dad, like that kind of folic acid turning into folate is going to be so drastically reduced. Even if you've got one SNP though, and I should say like 60% of people have got a SNP from on that specific gene from their mum or their dad. So I've got one SNP.
Right.
You might have had 2. I don't know.
So we were both positive for the mutation. So it was like basically the way the doctor described it was, you both love each other, your DNA doesn't. As much as that. Yeah. But 60%, that's a high number.
Yeah, it's not.
So, so I think did you say last week that you I just assume that everybody...
I would assume with that everyone's got that mutation. Like there's no harm in anyone taking folate, methylfolate in particular if you've got the mutation, but folate over folic acid.
Didn't I hear something in the news this week that they're actually saying now publicly that you should take methylfolate over folic acid, and they're going to rename it or something? I mean
a long time coming.
Oh,
like this,
it's
incredible. Kind of one of those things that, say 10 years ago, I feel like, there's this thing with like naturopaths when we're like, told you so. Yeah. Like we've been saying this for a decade. All the NHS is finally like gut health, like 10 years ago, it's like, oh, we've been talking about, like it finally comes through. Yeah. And like that is an example of this, of like, no one should be taking folic acid, like take folate.
And
take
would they see like a
methylfolate.
marked improvement on, say, sperm health if they did?
Mark did. There was a
Potentially,
25% increase in his sperm
So you
health.
both take it?
We both took it,
Oh, right.
but there was a 25% increase. I think I could get my numbers wrong. I better fact check that. But either way, there was an increase. It only took about 3 to 4 months, and it was 10 quid on Amazon, the supplement. Now,
Wow.
we're not suggesting that is going to solve everybody's fertility issues.
Yeah.
But as you
It's gonna be a
said,
massive baby
there's
boom.
60%. Yeah, there's 60% of people that instead of just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks, maybe take a first step of checking
Yeah.
sperm and taking methylfolate instead of folic acid.
And there's a really good egg quality supplement called Ovum.
Okay.
So I've got no like affiliate link or anything, but like the and that has got methylfolate in it. And it's
Interesting.
got loads of CoQ10. I actually use it for my clients for sperm health as well. I don't
Okay.
know why they're not marketing it for that as well, because looking at the ingredients, it'd be great for both. But yeah, we'll link it, and that's got like
that would be great.
methylfolate, and like I know my colleagues who are also work in fertility are recommending that. Like we all used to kind of make up our own little blends like years ago, and then when someone brings it on the market, you're like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
After years of being like, our own formula is actually a bit better. Like this one's actually
Yeah.
is a really good one.
So, I mean, I had kids later in life, so I think I was joking with you too earlier that I genuinely don't know what is PMS, what is postpartum, or what is perimenopause.
Yeah.
And not much scares me in life, in all honesty. Like having kids, I was like, perimenopause scares the absolute fuck out of me. Because I'm genuinely like at that point where I'm busy with the kids, I'm busy with work, I'm busy with this pod, and I'm dreading what could potentially happen.
Dreading the brain fog.
Dreading, and it's already happening big time. But even I have friends, because I had kids later in life, that are starting out their journey in their early 30s, mid 30s, all the way up to early 40s, mid 40s. But we're all having the same conversation, whether if you're in one of those 3 Ps, which is, what the hell should we be taking from supplement wise?
And how can you differentiate to know what's what? What am I suffering with? What is this?
Yeah, like what's trendy, what's not. Like you hear like brain fog, bloated, tired. So then all of a sudden you're told to take, I'm going to list these off: creatine, collagen, magnesium, vitamin D, NAD plus. What there was protein. Like there's so many. Like a friend of mine was like, I literally rattle going out the door every morning. I take so many vitamins. And it's like so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So what are the ones that actually work? Is there one that you can take for everything?
The golden pill that was
the golden
Just
pill.
take that.
Like,
I've got everything.
I would just love to get your view. And it's not just a perimenopause thing. It's a female thing. And we're all talking about it on all our WhatsApp groups. It's the biggest thing. Can you shed some light?
Help me.
me.
So yeah, perimenopause is the 4th arc.
Right.
Just to finish off the arc.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got period, pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause.
Right.
When you go through perimenopause and postpartum together, that is hard.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, it's hard anyway, but when you bring 2 of those arcs together and they overlay, like if you think in terms of seasons, postpartum is a winter and perimenopause is an autumn.
Right.
So like overlay those and there's so much letting go, so much
shedding.
so much shedding.
And it can happen in parallel, right? Because somebody,
Well, it is.
well, that I
Yeah.
think it is. But
Oh,
a friend
totally.
of mine voice
100%.
noted me recently, and I don't know if she's in denial because she also had kids later, and she was like, actually, you don't go through perimenopause until 2 years after you've had a baby. There's no such thing. I don't believe that because I'm listening to my body and I'm feeling what I'm feeling. Like
Yeah,
you can go through in parallel,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, like perimenopause is just a phase of life. Like it's this phase of life that precedes menopause, which is 12 months after your last period.
Okay.
Which for some people, that feeling might come never. Like they might just be like, oh, not a period in 12 months. Whereas for other women, they can feel it like a decade before their menopause starts.
I think that's really important to say because everyone assumed, including me, that perimenopause was something that just happened a couple of years before you had menopause. And actually, you can start showing perimenopause symptoms from mid-30s, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So what are things that women should look out for? Because when you're navigating and you don't know what sleep deprivation, PMS, postpartum, like whatever, is there certain things women should recognize for perimenopause?
I mean, it's hard saying that mix. It's hard to differentiate what is what. And there's no like blood test to definitively say like this is perimenopause.
Okay.
what did I want to say? Oh, one of the things I wanted to say when you're asking like, what about all these supplements for perimenopause was. So first of all, I think a bit of like the shadow side of us all talking about perimenopause now is like the fix it culture.
Right.
Like, you know, now we've got this thing that we know about. The thing that comes after that is people trying to sell you things.
Yeah.
You know, like now we know about it, you need fixing.
Yeah.
So first of all, like know like it is a totally natural transition in life.
Okay.
And like before a supplement comes into play, and I will talk about like supplements and testing, like it is an autumn. So actually, like often it is like what do you need to let go of? Like there is a like kind of an emotional
acceptance thing again.
Yeah, that definitely comes into it of like where you are in life. But like often like they call menopause the second spring, and it's I think for some women, I know some women going through it be like, oh fuck off. But you know, it is like that.
I do not feel springy, let me tell you.
Yeah. But most women that are then menopausal, so they've been through it, are like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like not everyone, but most women, it's just know like it's the autumn that brings up the challenge.
Yeah.
Like once you're through it, most women are like, woohoo. Not everyone, but most. But yeah, like think of these arcs of life and going back to the marketing and like they've kind of now the marketeers have come into it. It's not that like nutritionally things drastically change in those periods. 80% it's the same whether you're like a teenager or menopausal. There are some things like we talked about the yin and the yang during postpartum. That's quite a stark difference, I suppose. But most of it stays the same. Like most of kind of like the baseline things, it's just that during those arcs of life, you no longer have margin of error. So say during like postpartum, you've no longer got that margin of error. If you're not having nutrient dense meals, like you will feel shaky, like you will dip.
Yeah.
In a way that say pre-kids, you might have been like, oh, I've not eaten all day. Don't feel that great, but I'm fine to work and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You can no longer do that in postpartum phase of life.
Yeah.
You can no longer do that in perimenopause. Like, you know, you can no longer live on coffee. You can no longer live on 4 hours sleep. Like, you know, those things. And it's not that all of a sudden the things that are good for you now weren't before. It's just that they would have been amazing for you before, but you just can't not do them now.
Yeah.
So like an example of perimenopause that you'll often hear women talk about is it's often like the time when people like get divorced, change jobs, like big life transitions happen because it is the autumn. Like it is like what is no
shedding.
longer it's just shedding.
Interesting.
And like that is challenging.
Yeah.
And that is so I suppose often women come to me and they're like blah 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 blah. Like you have almost like blah blah. So what supplements do I need to take? And like and I'm like, okay, well let's just do big picture first and then let's talk about like supplements.
Yeah.
So that's like big picture. There's like a physical transformation, but there's also like an energetic and an emotional transformation. That those kind of going through those portals of life, you know, like with pregnancy, you know, it's kind of like a baby isn't just born, a mother is also born too. You know, perimenopause isn't just it's not, we're often sold it's like a woman being diminished, but actually like that's like real crone years of like powerful, wise women. Women obviously say to me like, I just want more energy. And I'm like, and I think I said when we spoke before, like there's a difference between feeling like you've got vitality and feeling like you've got energy. Having energy all the time is not how we're meant to be built as women. Like we are cyclical beings. And that is often, if we have energy all the time, it's often a woman living on adrenaline. So you talked about that kind of early motherhood. You're like, I was fine.
Yeah.
It was only when the kids got a bit older, then I crashed because you can only live on adrenaline for so long. Whereas vitality for me is more like being able to experience a full range of emotions from anger, sadness, sorrow, joy, happiness.
It's very empowering how you're framing this. I love it.
Yeah.
It's making me feel like you know, there's never actually a phase of a woman's life where she is not powerful.
No, we are so powerful.
We are, aren't we?
And it has
so
been a bit of
powerful.
society, and I'm not man bashing here, but there is a bit of, you know, oh, whatever, you're hormonal. Oh, you're on your period. Oh, she's menopausal. Like I went on holidays during the summer and I was really horrified. It wasn't the time to get into a debate, but a few drinks had been had and there was a group of men around and there was women sitting there, yeah, and they were joking, and they were joking, to be fair. But one of the guys was like, "Oh, I remember when I used to sit and go for a date night with my wife, and we talk about politics and this, and now all she talks about is menopause podcast." Welcome, and like her body and health and fitness. And then another guy piped up, and he was like, "Can we talk about the weight gain and menopause?" And they started bashing women. And I sat there and I was looking around, and I was really disgusted because everyone was sort of laughing. It just wasn't the environment to get into it. And I thought, we need to shift this narrative. Like, this is not okay. Because that is, of course, there's strong women that would go idiots, but there are other women out there that are holding all that stuff and don't feel empowered the way you're describing it because they feel like there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with them. But there's also like, I think it is actually hard to be a man right now.
Yeah.
As well.
We've touched on this.
Yeah,
haven't we?
we have.
Like,
It's
you
a
know,
hard
what
time
does
to be a man.
masculine... Yeah, it's a hard time to be a man.
Yeah.
Like, what do you actually bring that we can't do?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
true.
Yeah. It's kind of like...
It's quite demasculising.
And now your sperm is crap too.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. But, like, you know, I think, like, women have got to a place of... kind of that narrative around, you know, women can do what men can do, which I suppose that I would
do it better.
but do it.
Sorry, I'll stop now. Why did you, Michelle?
But the
Joke's over.
but yeah, I suppose then like maybe men are feeling that like what do they bring to the party? So then it's kind of that retaliation of like blah 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 blah. Where I suppose like I would say I'm a feminist, but I would say like from a perspective of I recognise the differences that men and women have, and like I think like let's value our differences. No one's better or worse, but can we also just value that we bring different things to the party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is really overwhelming, and obviously we can delve into so many different areas. But if we just bring it back to the original question on supplements,
So what? Yeah.
yeah, but
What can I say?
But if you
Yeah.
have someone in clinic,
Yeah.
and they're like, right, where could I start? Small changes, big difference. Split it between nutrition and supplements. So of those supplements I did list out, are they all a load of bollocks? Or
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're not. So and I recommend supplements. I like supplements.
Okay.
So first of all, I would say the two tests that I do for 90% of my clients would be a full blood panel.
Okay.
Where you'd look at iron, vitamin D, B12, as well as like liver function, white blood cells. Like you just want a full picture of what's going on in their bloods.
Yeah.
So and then also I love hair tissue mineral analysis, which is where you send off a little bit of your hair, and that looks at all the minerals in your body. Minerals are spark plugs for everything in the body, including immunity, energy, hormones, thyroid health, blood sugar balance, everything. So together they really provide me as a practitioner a good overview of what's happening with that woman in front of me, that individual in front of me. I always say functional tests are like you're getting windows into your body. So with case history, symptoms, blood test, hair tissue mineral, you've often got enough windows into someone's body that you like, that's where you need to start. Usually with any client, there are a couple of, I would call it low-hanging fruit. You could call it quick fixes.
Low-hanging fruits.
I'll go with the quick fix.
But blah, blah, blah. What are the quick fixes? And they are things like if someone is low in iron,
Okay.
like, yes, that will like dramatically make you feel a lot better quite quickly. Low vitamin D, like any kind of low level of nutrient, then you cannot. And there often will be a couple that I'll find. And that then is, I mean, say for instance, like low electrolytes and low iron are the two that, like, if someone is ever low in both of those, they literally think I'm a magician. You know, they're like,
really?
they're like,
You've changed my life.
God. Yeah, like, but quickly. Like, you know, there's long slots.
And they were just simple supplements.
Simple supplements.
Right, okay.
But you need to kind of test, I would say, to know what where you're at. Your GP in the UK should be able to run what we call a TAT screening, TATT. So tired all the time screening.
Okay.
And that would look at a lot of those markers.
I have never
that you
ever heard
need.
of that.
Yeah.
My sister would love to know
Yeah.
about
But
that.
I think I would rather just go direct to the problem. I didn't even think about getting those tests, coming to you or going to my GP.
You
like,
100% need to be tested. Like, take iron, for instance.
Right.
It is a mineral that is stored in the body. We can't easily get rid of it if we've got too much of it. So if we start just taking loads and loads of iron, but our body doesn't need it, our red blood cells don't need it, it will start to cause inflammation in the body, and it will actually like cause opposite effects of what you want it to do.
Okay.
So it's very much a Goldilocks mineral.
Right.
And take magnesium, for instance. Like, that's often seen as like, most people are low in magnesium. Like, that's true because soil is depleted. So most people do need magnesium. My one caveat to taking magnesium is A, it needs to be a good form. So I love Elevide. So
Okay.
Matt Rosie, who's a naturopath like me, he's kind of made this amazing company with the best of the best magnesium. I don't always recommend that one because it is a slightly higher price point, like it should be,
Yeah.
as in it is the best.
Yeah.
But just if a client, can't afford it, then I'd maybe go for another brand. But the caveat to magnesium is if you've also got things like low electrolytes, magnesium is quite like relaxing, but it can almost like tip into like sedative.
Oh, really?
So when people are low in electrolytes, they're also low in magnesium, they take magnesium, they'll come back and like, I'm taking this, I thought it'd help me sleep better, but I'm actually just shattered.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, that's
wow.
because like the magnesium has made you relax, but when you're like tired and depleted, it can almost tip you into like a bit of that sedative effect.
That's really interesting. So as part of the testing, that would show if you're low in
your hair tissue.
electrolytes.
Yeah.
Because some people just take electrolytes every day now as well.
And if you've been breastfeeding, like, you will probably need electrolytes. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I take those if I'm training for something.
Yeah, or
I
training.
just
Like
take them
for a
when I'm
half marathon.
hungover.
But like electrolytes, you're hungover. But they shouldn't be saved for marathons.
Yeah.
Or hangovers. Or diarrhea and vomiting. Like, they're the 3 times when people like, oh, save it.
Yeah.
The some people, especially breastfeeding, because it's your minerals that go first. Like, breastfeeding is more nutrient intensive than pregnancy.
That's so interesting. And then magnesium, do you recommend in tablet form? Because I am a sucker for marketing. So I got this snazzy foot spray that's by my bed. But like,
You will absorb some through in that way. And
Okay.
like, you will absorb through like Epsom salt baths and those sorts of things, and like magnesium creams. But you won't get the level quickly that you would need, that you'd get through a tablet.
A tablet, okay.
Yeah.
And we will actually, because I think it's really important, we will put links to these products that you're recommending. They're not ads, just so everyone's aware, and the different price points as well. When you were talking about how, and then sorry, just before I ask the next question, creatine and collagen, the other 2 trendy ones. Crap, works.
I love collagen particularly. I like creatine as well.
Okay.
I'd say like collagen it's high in like an amino acid called glycine, and glycine is great for like soothing and calming the nervous system. So I do really like collagen. I particularly like Ape brand, APE.
Okay.
Because it just doesn't taste of anything. Like, lots of those collagens, like, don't taste of anything. And I'm like, gipping. Like,
They literally taste like a monkey's arse.
Yeah. I'm like, who's taste tested that? Because like that isn't tasteless.
By the way, I have not taste tested a monkey's arse. just to clarify.
I mean, you should in this forum. So yeah, that's my kind of go-to one. I like that. There are other good ones as well, but it's again a good price point. Creatine, I would say, is really useful, especially for like the muscle, building muscle.
I was going to say again, I only really have heard about that through gym.
And I'd say it's useful
guys
for
years
women
ago,
to take creatine. I suppose like the thing that we often forget is which of the foods that have got the most amount of creatine is your red meat.
Right.
Like, that is naturally high levels of creatine. So yeah, like food forms first. I feel like red meat has been given a really hard time.
Yeah.
And it unnecessarily. But the thing about meat that you always need to be aware of is like quality matters.
Yeah.
So like and I mean, British cows' meat is pretty good quality. So we've got so much rain, there's so much grass.
Yeah.
They don't need to feed it kind of corn and all these sorts of things that they might do in America. But it's a really good food source. Just make sure it's ideally grass fed, even better if it's organic.
Okay. Vegans, please don't leave us.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Is there one magic pill, or if you are taking all of these after your blood test, do you generally take supplements in separate form? So you might have to take 4 or 5 a day, or is there one magic pill?
I would say like a general like multi-mineral is useful if like you've done no testing and you just want to kind of take something. It's a bit of an insurance policy rather than like properly tailoring it to what you need. But I'd say it's better than nothing.
Okay.
Like, you know, like a low dose vitamin D potentially. But I'd say do some basic testing and then you'll probably find a couple of quick fixes.
Yeah. What's your whole view on the kind of HRT world?
So I think it's potentially really useful for certain women. So I'd say like I'm a complementary therapist. I'm not an alternative therapist.
Okay.
So I'm like, take the best from every world.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so take like perimenopause as an example of, that kind of how does HRT, as it's called at the moment, fit into it. I think for some women it can be really, really useful. There is a certain question mark, I suppose, in the complementary space of, is it helpful to some women? To other women, is it providing a bit of a veil of like what's going on?
What's really going on? Yeah.
But for some women, I think, but also like some women need a veil. Like, you know, they've got kids, they've got a job, and they're like, so I like actually might lose my house, like if I don't have a veil. So like veil me up. So like again, like no judgment with the veil. Like some people are here to do the deeper work, and some people aren't. And I think like no one's morally better for doing the deep work or not.
Yeah, I love that.
But I'd also say like usually it's not one thing. So in terms of like an arc of life, HRT rarely fixes someone. It can really like be a good, it can massively help, but it's rarely that someone's like, oh well, I'm 100% feel completely different. Sometimes women will say that.
Yeah.
But it's rare that a woman will say like, I feel totally amazing. Often it's like a collection of things that are helpful.
Yeah.
So, you know, like doing like sleep hygiene, really nourishing their meals, like filling those nutrient gaps that they've got, as well as HRT.
Right.
And the big fear around HRT was when the studies were done originally, it was done on the old form of estrogen, which we don't use anymore. That was from like the horse's urine or something, like a really old version, whereas safety studies they've not been done on like the newer forms of them.
Okay.
So yeah, I suppose my take on HRT is let's stop judging each other if we are taking it or we're not taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's almost, like in lots of things, it started to become polarizing, you know, like, and a bit of a badge of honor, maybe if you're doing things naturally, like, oh, I've decided to do things naturally. I don't want to touch HRT. That's not, you know, I'm more of a natural person. Like, that's like that makes you like a better woman.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you like benefit from that and that serves you, like, amazing.
But you see that through pregnancy too. It's like, I'm going to breathe my way through my labor. Yeah. And then it's like, give me the fucking drop.
Yeah. I do think maybe the missing piece is, and I've spoken to like, I've got a friend, like one of a good friend of mine is a menopause doctor, Rachel. Put her in there. Show note. You're welcome, Rachel. We've had the conversation before around like the veil of like how much is HRT maybe gonna cause a veil. I know speaking to her, she would say it's such a low dose. Like the dose of estrogen that you'd be given as part of HRT is so much lower than say like an ovulation level of estrogen. She would argue it's not gonna fully veil anything. Right. It might like buffer things, but like say if like your relationship is breaking down, you're not all of a sudden going to be like, I love being in this relationship, like type thing.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, maybe more in the alternative space, would say that will mean that you maybe won't transition to that deep work in the same way.
Right.
I don't know what the answer is. I want someone to tell me.
Yeah.
That's my next arc.
Damn.
That's my next arc.
Oh, I
I'm
love
like, well,
that.
which one?
Okay, yeah.
Like, how much is it veiling?
Yeah.
And I think it's different for different people.
It is. I mean, the big one I hear is, and it's not just perimenopause, I think it's especially after postpartum and perimenopause, is the drop of libido. And your sexual appetite drops, A, because you're just exhausted, right? But B, like, I even said to you when we were talking about in the sex episode, like I used to count myself as quite a sexual person, but it is harder to get to certain points like of orgasm or just generally feeling horny, feeling up to it. So we were talking about bringing toys and stuff in. And that's a tough one sometimes for women to put their hands up and be like, I think my libido's dropped. And like, how do I fix it?
Yeah. Fix me.
Yeah, fix me.
I mean, I think
Without using the bullet.
yeah. I mean, not that there's no
Anything
shame.
wrong.
Bring the bullet in. I mean, I know like medically that's when testosterone comes into play. Like often I know from, speaking and going to conferences and stuff, like low libido is often when they'd say, oh, should we try a smidge of testosterone? I'm not a doctor, that's just from hearing other people talk. But I suppose like there's also that element of as we age, is it that our libido drops, or is it that we're maybe not at a 7 out of 10 on the get-go, maybe more of like a 2 out of 10, and actually like we need something different to stimulate us, to get us
it's another season, isn't it?
It's another season. The like maiden sex, so like I suppose like post-mother, like we're classed as a maiden in terms of archetype, are like massively revered in our culture. Like we love youth, we love young women. Like that's kind of what we see as beautiful.
Yeah.
But I don't resonate with that. Like I think there's something like even like seeing my friends now when they're older, I see them and I'm like, fucking hell, like you're so much more beautiful in a like broader sense than like when we were kids.
I love that. I love that.
And even like,
and I think that too about so many of
like they're like, I love a line like that. But the reason I mention that is I think so much of that overlays with sex. So it's like that if as a woman we no longer feel sensual and sexual because we're no longer that maiden, then I think that will kill our libido because we're trying to have sex like we're 20.
So true. And this goes back to what we were saying too about take away the physical stuff, about how you might hormonally be. It's that like being made feel wanted, being made feel sexy by your partner, male or female, by society, whomever.
By yourself.
Because some people, and I remember I've heard this numerous times throughout my life, including from my mum's generation, that they felt when they got to their mid-late 40s that they became invisible a bit in society.
But that's what I mean by like, that's what the far right want us. They want us to become invisible. But actually, like, it is the most powerful and actually the most sensual time.
It would be amazing to see a huge conscious shift in women when they get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've viewed kind of that season of my life to be what we've been discussing. And it's like opened my brain and my eyes. And I'm just like,
I actually feel
God, we're going to start a revolution.
I actually feel quite emotional. The way you were talking earlier, I was like,
beautiful.
Wow, we really need to be kinder to ourselves.
So much kinder. And like,
so powerful.
If you think like diet culture and all this squashing of women that's ultimately like taking us out of our body. Because our first thought is like, well, what is that person going to think of me? Whereas like when we're truly embodied, it's like, how does it feel to be in our body? And I think like perimenopause and that phase or any arc of life, for me, it was motherhood. That shredded, that was my shed. Yeah. Of like, now I'm in my body, it's about me, including with my sex life.
Amazing.
Like, that kind of like, not, I mean, this is going to become the sex episode. But like for me, that liberation of like, how does it feel to be sensual? What does that feel like for me with myself in my relationship? Like that has gone to like next level.
That's amazing.
Incredibleness of like, I no longer feel this maiden and like, there's no performance anymore. There's no,
it's just real and it's raw and it's authentic.
Yeah.
And it's not when we say becoming the sex episode, it's actually part of the whole journey. Whether it's nutrition, whether it's female health, because female health is also our mental health and how we feel and confidence.
One and if question, you're orgasming on the regular, let's be honest, your mental health's probably going to be a lot better.
Yes. Let us know if you've orgasmed today. Motherloading@gmail.com. Your area of expertise has been unbelievable today.
But you know what? With it being so empowering and very female orientated, I know that my partner will love this episode.
Yeah.
He will love it.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Everything that you've been talking us through and teaching, I feel like I need to get on a voice note to him straight away. And be like, It's been so informative. Where would you like to see the journey or kind of it might be about the awareness of certain things. Where would you like to see the journey of female health going?
Yeah, good question.
I think definitely realising these arcs of life can potentially be gifts to us. Definitely feeling more into, I want to see more, like I see so many different shapes and sizes of women, and that never seems to correlate with their like internal happiness, like and their like embodied experience. And so I feel like we just need to let go of like what we look like and that being part of our self-worth and really like feeling. I want more women to feel into like how it feels to be in their body, because I feel like no one lies on their deathbed and thinks like, oh, I wish I looked a bit nicer at the summer of, do you know what I mean? But actually like, oh, I felt amazing in my body. And therefore that meant that I could enjoy pleasure in all of its forms.
I've just got so many visuals, right?
Yeah.
I'm like a really visual, spiritual person. I get downloads all the time. And I can just see, like, you know, like a wild forest with women just being their most raw, beautiful, authentic, natural selves, where we all gather and we can just all bleed and scream and laugh and have children running around. Let's do it.
So that's probably what it was like back in the day. And in certain cultures, it is like that.
Just like rivers and us eating natural food and then going back to the little teepees and having sex with our men. And
You know.
Sounds great.
let's do it.
But I think for me, this past hour, I have struggled. No one, as you said, no one has the answer. There's no right or wrong answer. Everybody's different. I mean, as a baseline, the first thing I'm going to do is go and get tested at your clinic, Rosie.
We guess who's going to go have it.
But what I found amazing about today was often you hear experts and it sounds very medical, right? Or then it's very whooshy.
Yeah.
You did a really gorgeous job of just being informative, but normalizing the entire conversation, having empathy, making it just something I can completely relate to. And I think all our listeners are going to love it.
You can come again, Rosie.
Yeah. Please come again. On that note, anybody, please give us feedback. Send some questions in for Rosie. What would you like to hear more from? And we would love to have Rosie back. So DM us on Instagram or send an email to motherloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Rosie, thank you so much.
Rosie, you've been amazing. I've loved it.
Cuddle.